Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is once again testing this crucial level of support on the daily time frame after just experiencing a harsh rejection and a fail to break out back above this crucial line in the short term, while the US stock market is continuing to dump in the short term, which is not good news for Bitcoin and crypto. And right now, in the short term, Ethereum is possibly forming a new signal that we need to pay attention to, but not yet confirmed, while Solana is getting extremely close to breaking below this crucial level of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a quick look at the US stock market. This right here is the S&P 500 index on the 1 hour time frame, and we can see that over the last few days, in fact over the last 1 week almost, the US stock market has been on obviously a slight correction or a slight pullback in the shorter term here. And obviously we do have a shorter term bearish divergence playing out with lower highs in the RSI and previously higher highs in the price. So ultimately this is causing a bit of distribution in the shorter term, lacking momentum, causing some weakness for the US stock market. And of course, as usual, as I always say, as I've been saying for years now on the channel, crypto and stocks are highly correlated. Of course, it's not a perfect one-to-one correlation, but usually if the US stock market has a dump, usually that's not good news for crypto, and vice versa. If the US stock market is booming, usually that can be good news for Bitcoin and crypto in the shorter term. And so basically what is happening right now is a lot of investors out there are trying to reduce their risk. So of course that means selling stocks, but also selling crypto, as we're seeing in the short term. But before taking a look at the short term, taking a look at the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market for the price of Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence playing out on the weekly time frame, still technically active, not yet been invalidated, so keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart in the shorter term, for the last few weeks or so, the price has been within this shorter term sideways range in between this support and this resistance. Of course, we still have a lot of resistance in between around 92,000 to 94,000, and a lot of support at around 85 to 86,000, which as of recording this video, we're potentially coming back for another test of that support. And so considering the fact that at least for now, we've not yet confirmed a daily candle close below 85,000, it is still possible we could find support around this area, which means obviously it's possible we could see a slight little bounce from around this support here, like what we saw just the other day. But if we actually confirm a break with, say, a daily candle close below 85,000, and especially if we fail to get back above 85 to 86,000, in that situation, would likely at least see a move down towards around 80 to 81,000 based on this previous candle week low. And if we break below 80,000 in that situation, I'd be targeting around 76,000 approximately based on these previous lows back here. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6 hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously over the last few days, we already saw that break to the downside in the price of Bitcoin below this ascending line of support, which was at that time sitting at just above 88,000. Currently, it's sitting closer towards 89,000. And of course, just over the last couple of days after we broke below that line of support, which is of course a bearish signal in the shorter term, since then we have seen of course a little bit of a bounce from this point of support at 85 to 86,000, like I've been mentioning here on the channel, but we've at least so far failed to get back above this ascending line here on the 6 hour Bitcoin price chart, which once again is currently sitting at closer to 89,000. And in fact, just recently, right before starting to record this video, we did see a decent candle wick towards the upside, an attempt of a breakout back above 89,000, but never confirmed a candle close back above that level. So obviously that was, at least for now, a harsh rejection, a quick scandal candle, a pump and dump in the shorter term, rejecting from this point right here. And so overall, based on this 6 hour Bitcoin price chart, technically speaking, this is looking more bearish than it is bullish. We have broken below support, failed to get back above that level, seen a harsh rejection. So overall, this is showing a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, looking quite bearish in the shorter term, alongside of course the US stock market pulling back in the shorter term. Once again, that is not good news for Bitcoin and crypto. And so keep in mind, as I've already mentioned over the last few days, we do have a technical price target in play for this triangle pattern, which has now activated. traded, which is sitting at around 77 to 78,000 in that area right there. So that is a technical price target to pay attention to, but as always, we cannot ignore points of support between the current price and that price target where the price could possibly bounce at. Like for example, as I said earlier, 85 to 86,000 is the immediate support to pay attention to, which we did actually see a bounce from over the last 1 to 2 days. And so as always, not financial advice, but as I already mentioned over the last few days, a potential trading strategy would be looking for a short position, considering we are looking more bearish than bullish, at least in the shorter term. So it makes more sense to be in a short position, not financial advice. And a potential entry for a short position would be, of course, a retest of this level. So for example, if you used that little pump that we saw just over the last few hours or so before recording this video, if you use that to actually open a short position, right now you're potentially already in profits. But if you missed that little pump right there, that retest of this line, and right now you're not currently in a trade, then honestly, I'll be potentially waiting for a break below around 85 to 86,000, below this support before entering a short position. I'll not be entering a short position right as we're running into support, because there is that risk of a potential bounce from that support, like what we saw the other day, as I explained over the last couple of days. And so once again, the next trading opportunity for a short position, not financial advice, would be ideally if we break below around 85 to 86,000. If that happens, once again, I'm not saying that will happen definitely, but I'm saying if that happens, then that would make for another entry point into a potential short position to trade towards those lower points of support that I just mentioned earlier. But overall, I'll not necessarily be looking for a long position right now, considering the shorter term structure is looking more bearish than bullish. We have broken down here, and of course the US stock market is pulling back, which is putting extra bearish pressure on the crypto market. And so if you haven't done so already, make sure you get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of this trading opportunity, potentially already now beginning. And if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some major bonuses just by making an account using that link, completing KYC. You get a 50 USDT bonus on your account, and on top of that, there's also deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account, and on top of that, if you deposit up to 10,000 USDT, there's also a 1,000 USDT bonus that you can get into your account. This is basically free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that link below the video just by depositing, completing KYC, etc. But remember, all of this right here is only available if you're using that first link below the video to make your account. Unfortunately, if you don't use that link, you can't claim any of these bonuses here. So you have to use that link to make your account. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well do that. You might as well take advantage of these bonuses here. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange to also take long positions on, short positions on, etc., then for that, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. The second link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of exclusive bonuses that are only available using that link. And on top of those exclusive bonuses, there's also a trade protection and recovery fund that you could see using that link below the video. So for example, if you're getting liquidated on your trades, as you can see on the page using the link below the video, if you're getting liquidated on your trades, you can actually get some of those lost funds back on your account. So if you want to know more about this, once again, second link below this video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a really quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we actually have a bit of liquidity building in the shorter term just above the price. Obviously, we saw that scandal candle just over the last few hours, a pump and dump in the price, and we just failed to wipe out this liquidity. So potentially that was a liquidity grab, an attempt of wiping out this short-term liquidity, but we've not yet actually wiped that out. So in case you're wondering, that's sitting in between around 90.8K to 91.1K. So at close to 91,000, we do have a decent amount of liquidity in the shorter term building around there. And of course, on larger timeframes on the liquidation heat map, we also have a lot of liquidity closer towards around 70,000 at much lower prices. But obviously between now and those points of liquidity, we have these points of resistance that we cannot ignore, where the price could reject from in the case of resistance, or in the case of support at 85 to 86,000, possibly see a bounce from. So those are the key levels and key signals to watch out for, and potential trading strategies to keep in mind moving forward, not financial advice. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, finally the Bitcoin dominance is starting to gather a little bit more bullish momentum. So far we still don't have a lot of momentum, but right now it is starting to look more bullish than bearish, considering we have just basically confirmed a higher low in the shorter term, and now actually actually starting to confirm a higher high, breaking out above this previous high in the Bitcoin dominance on the daily time frame, which is of course some shorter term bullish price structure for the Bitcoin dominance, which basically means Bitcoin is likely holding up better than a lot of the major altcoins out there on average. And so obviously there's always going to be outliers when it comes to altcoins. Of course, even if the Bitcoin dominance is bullish, we can see some altcoins out there still outperforming or holding up better than Bitcoin, but basically Bitcoin for the most part is holding up better than a lot of the major altcoins. So of course, this is not good news for the altcoin market if of course Bitcoin is pulling back, struggling a little bit in the short term, while the Bitcoin dominance is seeing a bullish move. That basically means altcoins are doing worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin is struggling, once again, not great news for the altcoins, at least right now in the short term. But remember, you can still profit during bearish price action for the altcoin market, for example, by using short positions on certain altcoins that might be looking bearish. Once again, not financial advice, but if you're using those links below the video, you can take advantage of extra bonuses over on those exchanges. But if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, of course, right now the price of ETH is continuing to break to the downside below that previous point of support, which is now acting as resistance. In fact, just recently, over the last few hours, over the last one day, we did actually see a retest of this area. And as I warned about, since we broke below that area over the last couple of days, I warned, now expect resistance in between 3,000 to 3.1K. And that's exactly where the price just saw a rejection from within that area. And so obviously continue to expect a lot of resistance, a lot of struggle, and likely rejections from within 3,000 to 3.1K if the price ultimately gets back up there. And of course, when it comes to support to watch out for, now that we're continuing this short-term pullback, expect support really in between around 2750 to 2.8K as the next important area of support to watch out for. And if we break below that area in that situation, the next support would be sitting in between around 2.6K to 2650. And clearly, as I usually say, of course, Ethereum, along with a lot of the major altcoins, will likely follow somewhat similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin's struggling in the short term, like it is just doing here, of course, expect something similar, a bit of bearish price action for Ethereum and major altcoins, especially while the Bitcoin dominance is bullish. It means, once again, a lot of altcoins on average are doing worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. So overall, short-term situation, not looking good for Ethereum. But with that being said, now that the price is starting to form a lower low, which has not yet officially been confirmed in the candle closes, in the actual lows in the candlewick lows, it has already been confirmed. But considering the RSI by default goes off candle closes, we need to wait for this lower low to confirm in the price in the candle closes. And considering this is happening right now in the price, while the 4-hour, actually the 3-hour, this is the 3-hour chart, while the 3-hour Ethereum RSI is forming this higher low right here, of course, that is a potential bullish divergence forming right now, but not yet officially confirmed. And so in order to actually confirm this bullish divergence, we need to, of course, confirm this candle close in the price below these previous lows right here, which at the time of recording this video is happening in roughly an hour from now. So by the time you're watching this video, it might have already just happened. And then we need to see at least one or two green candle closes confirming in the price to actually cement and confirm the higher low in place in the RSI, considering we need to see some sort of bounce like this in the RSI just over the next couple of candle closes. And once again, the RSI by default goes off candle closes. And so it's possible that we could confirm this short-term bullish divergence within the next 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours. So keep this in mind as something to watch out for moving forward. Once again, not yet confirmed, but could soon confirm. And if it does confirm, it's somewhat similar to an oversold signal. It basically means we're likely going to see a bit of a relief in the shorter term, either a slight bullish relief like this, or maybe just a bit of a sideways consolidation, basically a bit of a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action. But a bullish divergence like an oversold signal is not always a trend reversal signal. And so overall, the shorter term trend is obviously still bearish, forming lower highs and lower lows. We have broken that previous bullish price structure with a breakdown below these previous lows just here. But once again, in the shorter term, it is possible that in the coming days, we could see just another slight little relief like what we saw over the last couple of days, thanks to that previous oversold signal that already played out, mostly in the form of just some choppy sideways price action. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now, as of recording this video, the price of Solana is once again testing this crucial level of support where previously we've seen many important bounces from, and that's sitting in between around 124 to 128. So especially $124, that is an important level that we need to hold as support. And if the price of Solana actually confirms, say, a daily candle close below 124, and then especially if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, we'll likely see a drop down closer towards $100, really in between $100 to $105 as the next major area of support towards the downside. Honestly, that's where I'll be targeting next if we first confirm the break below around 124. And it's also possible we could find a small amount of support at give or take 115 based on this previous low back here. But once again, the next major support will be sitting at closer towards 100 to 105 if we first confirm the break below 124. And also keep in mind that there is a possible bullish divergence forming right now, not yet confirmed, but we do have possible lower lows forming in the price in the candle closes, still needing to be confirmed, while the RSI, at least for now on the daily Solana price chart, is still currently forming higher lows. So once again, a potential bullish divergence forming, but not yet actually confirmed. So it's something to not currently act on, but at least pay attention to in the coming days in case it possibly confirms here. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed on the weekly chart over the last one day. We still have a massive bearish divergence actively playing out on the larger time frames, which is not good news. And we're running into the vital significant area of support before potentially much lower prices. And that area, in case you're wondering, is sitting in between $1.80 to $2. So expect a lot of support around this area. But if we break below $1.80, that's very, very bad news for XRP, as I explained in more detail over the last few days in my last few videos. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, we do technically have a smaller or shorter term bullish divergence here on the daily time frame, with lower lows already confirmed in the price in the candle closes and higher lows technically with one small confirmation signals, higher lows confirmed. But ideally, I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation here, considering as of recording this video, we're potentially already at the invalidation point for this bullish divergence. So I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation to be more confident in this bullish divergence actually starting to play out. And so in simple terms, I'd like to see a little bit more of a bounce actually confirm over the coming days in the RSI on the daily XRP price chart in order to start further confirming the bullish divergence. And of course, if that happens, we can be more confident in the bullish divergence playing out just in the shorter term. And if we see that extra confirmation, basically just expect a bit of a relief, either a slight bullish move or maybe a sideways consolidation, a bit of a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action in the shorter term, maybe for a few days, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, just in the shorter term, remember. But once again, we can see shorter term bullish reliefs or sideways consolidations in the shorter term during this multi-month bearish trend, which is ultimately the much larger bearish divergence playing out here on the weekly time frame. And so basically, even if this short-term bullish divergence sees some more confirmation here and starts to play out, we're still not looking good when it comes to the larger timeframes here. It's just that could potentially provide a little bit of a relief here, once again, if we see some more confirmation. But right now, we don't really have a lot of confirmation here. And as for support and resistance, still expect a lot of resistance in between $2 to $2.05, and some support at around $1.80 approximately as really the final significant level of support. And if we start breaking below $1.80 with some proper confirmation and fail to get back above that level, in that situation, I'll be targeting around $1.60 and then potentially around $1.30 to $1.40 if we fail to hold above $1.80. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, of course, Chainlink is following the rest of the crypto market and of course the US stock market, continuing the short-term dump. Chainlink is also following the same price action, continuing a short-term pullback, a dump at least for now. And right now we're about to test an important level of support based on these previous lows, sitting at give or take $12, really in between $12 to around $12.20, around there, just above $12. Expect some support for the price of Chainlink based on these previous bounces from those levels. And we also have a possible bullish divergence forming, but obviously not confirmed right now. We've not even confirmed a lower low in place at all in the price. We need to actually confirm a lower low first in the price, but at least for now, the RSI is still forming higher lows, which does open the possibility of another bullish divergence forming and possibly confirming. But right now, obviously, we're still at least a minimum of a few days of that possibly happening, but obviously not currently confirmed. And so overall, like I've been saying throughout the video, the market is simply more bearish than bullish, at least in the short term, especially while the stock market is pulling back. Once again, not good news for Bitcoin and crypto, at least in the shorter term. And this is also true for Chainlink. So overall, I'm more bearish than bullish for Chainlink, just be aware of that potential point of support at close to $12. And as for resistance, if we see any sort of bounce back up, expect a lot of resistance in between around 1330 to 1340 approximately. And also keep in mind that if, for example, we see a slight little bounce sometime soon in the next few days, come back up closer towards that resistance that I just mentioned, and then fail to get back above that level, we have a possible head and shoulders pattern forming right now. Not confirmed, but that would be a bearish price pattern, activating a even further bearish price target for the price of Chainlink if we continue to form that possible pattern and then break below the support at about $12. And so those are some important signals, patterns, levels to watch out for the price of Chainlink. But remember, throughout this video, ultimately expect basically weakness, lacking bullish momentum for a lot of the market right now, especially while the US stock market continues to pull back. Once again, that's putting extra bearish pressure on the crypto market as well. But remember, you can profit from all of this bearish price action using things like short positions, for example, to actually profit along the way towards the downside while prices are dumping. So obviously, if you haven't done so already, get set up ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, if you want to know how to profit from the bearish price action, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.